Hello, all my little beautiful friends. Welcome to the peace sign mosaic tutorial. Today we're going to be creating this beautiful peace sign in a rainbow pattern. This is a really cute piece. You can hang it up in your house. You can put it in your window so that people walking by can see it. You can put it in your room. It's really beautiful and it's really fun. All right, so this is how our project's going to look when it's complete. I just put this one here so you can get an idea. This is what you're going to need on your table for step one of this project. You're going to need a blank project, your white paint, and a large paintbrush. This particular mosaic project has a really easy painting part, but a more complicated tiling part. So if you've done mosaics with us before, this will be a different experience for you because it's a little bit different from what we normally do. Okay, if you haven't covered your workspace, take a break, push pause, and go and grab a placemat. We are going to be using acrylic paint today as well as glue, and we want to make sure that our workspace is well protected. I also recommend wearing either a smock or art clothes, as acrylic paint can be difficult to remove from fabrics. If you haven't done either of those things, now's a good time to pause. And while we're at it, just so you know, at any point during this video tutorial, if you need to take a break, feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward, anything you need to do to stay on pace with our project. All right, so we are ready to go. Step one is so easy. You guys are gonna love this. All we need to do for step one of this project is paint our peace sign white. Here's a couple of painting tips. Once you get started, it's important to spread your paint out nice and thin. There's two reasons for this. The first reason is your color is going to look more consistent, meaning the background color will look more even. The second reason is we want it to dry quickly. And if we make it very thick, it's going to take a long time to dry. And we won't be able to move on to the tiling part of our project, which, in my opinion, for this particular project, is the really fun part. This big brush makes it really easy to quickly paint the background. So I don't always paint the edges of my mosaic projects, especially with some of the ones that already have the black lines on them. If you've done any of those tutorials with us, those projects are typically black on the edges already. This project is not. And for that reason, I do like to paint the edges of the project, and I'll show you just how I do that. All right, so this is our coat that we put here on the top. And you can see I'm just going back and spreading out any sections where I feel that the paint is thicker than another section. I'm just trying to get it very even. I'm also looking to make sure that I didn't miss any spots. Sometimes as you get close to the edges, you can miss a spot. That looks pretty good. Okay, when you're ready to paint the edges, here's what I recommend. Put your left hand, assuming that you're a righty, put your left hand under the edge of your project like this, and we're gonna start out by painting inside of these two triangle sections, but you're just gonna run your brush along the inside edge. If it might get on your fingers, and that's not a big deal. I know I said it was hard to wash off of your clothes, but it does wash off of your hands very easily. So I'm just gonna move around into each section of my peace sign, starting with these inside sections, and just get a coat of white right inside that edge. So all of the inside portions have been painted white, and the last part that we need to paint white is this outer edge. So we're gonna do the same thing, just tilt it up. I'm gonna grab a little white and just scoot around that edge. That looks pretty good. So we have our inside edges covered and we have our outside edges covered. And this coat that we put on the top of our peace sign is pretty dry now. And what's really great about that is this probably could use a second coat just so that the color is very even. And now is a good time to do that since it's pretty dry already. So same color, same brush. We're just gonna do one more coat of white on here just to get it really, really white. And same rules as before. Try to spread your paint out nice and thin so that it dries evenly and quickly. Take a moment to look over your piece and make sure that your white is nice and even. If there's any areas that appear darker, you can go back and add a little more white to even out the color. As your paint starts to dry, it will start to look a little inconsistent. So sometimes you have to wait until it's completely dry to find those spaces that need another coat. Once you're happy with the way that you've coated your background, you're gonna cap this paint and put it to the side and wash out your brush. And then meet me right back here. This needs a couple minutes to dry, so this is a good time to sort of clean up your workspace and get ready for step 2. Okay, my friends, we're back. Hopefully the background of your project is dry and you've had a chance to go ahead and clean up your workspace, store your white paint, and wash out your brush. The next part of the project is the tiling part of the project. And in this particular case, this is the really fun part of the project. So you are going to have in your kit many, many, many colors of tiles. So we are gonna have red, we have oranges and yellows, greens, blues, looks like that one is green and blue, purple. You may not have exactly the same tiles that I am going to have today, but you will have a rainbow assortment of tiles. As we start to lay our pattern out, we always recommend trying to mix and match the different shaped tiles so that you have an interesting look on your piece when you're done. For example, in our sample, we've tried to mix and match triangles, squares, circles. So you're gonna wanna try to do that as you move through your project and just give a little bit of variation and mix up these shapes. I would recommend possibly pouring out some of these tiles, maybe not all of them at once, just because there are so many. But I think as we go, oops, got my yellow. As we go, I will be pouring out these cups one at a time. I think it makes it easier to lay your tiles out when you can really see what's in here, especially because there's gonna be a mix of colors inside of here. And if you leave them in the container, I think it's gonna be hard to see what you have. Generally speaking, I always recommend laying your pattern out on your project before you glue it. One of the reasons we recommend this is that the glue dries really fast. And if you start to glue your tiles and then you realize, hey, wait a minute, I don't know that this is exactly the pattern I want, or I don't know if this is exactly the way I want this to look, it's gonna be difficult to move the tiles at that point. So it makes more sense to have a really clear idea about how your project is gonna look before you glue your pieces on. So that's how I'm gonna do my sample today. So we're not gonna need our glue yet. We're gonna start with purple. We're gonna start at the bottom. I'm gonna make my tutorial sample look the same way that the sample looks on your instruction sheet. If you want to mix these tiles together and do a different gradient of rainbow, gradient means shading from one color to another, you 100% could mix it up. I've thought about possibly putting red in the middle and then working my way out, or you could go left to right, top to bottom, bottom to top. You could even just totally mix them up and glue them on, and I think that this project would still look phenomenal. All right, for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm gonna work bottom to top, and we're gonna work in reverse rainbow order. So hopefully you guys all know your rainbow order. I'm gonna go over it really quick. It's gonna be, this is a little trick to remember. It's called Roy G. Biv. Roy, R, red, O, orange, Y is yellow, G is green. This has green and blue. We'll use this one. R, O, Y, G, B is blue. And then I and V stand for indigo and violet, which are two different kinds of purple. So that's what I've poured out over here. So we're gonna start with indigo and violet, and we're gonna start with the bottom of our project. We have 6 colors. So in your brain, you wanna think about possibly dividing this shape up into 6 sections, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we wanna tile this bottom 1/6 of our peace sign with purple. Right now, I'm just gonna lay my tiles on. I'm not gonna glue them. I wanna make sure that I really like the way they look before I glue them on. All right, I'm feeling really jazzed about my purple section. I'm really happy with the way that the colors look, and I'm happy with the way my tiles are fitting next to each other. I wanted to mention that you do want to leave some space in between your tiles. We didn't really talk about that before I started putting these tiles in, but you don't want them all crammed next to each other. You want to be able to see the white behind the tiles. Other times that you may have made mosaics, we will fill in between the tiles with grout. This is actually a mixed media mosaic, meaning that we use 2 different kinds of medium. We use paint We're actually also using wood and we're using glass. So for this project, we're not gonna be grouting, but we wanna sort of fake the idea that there's grout in between these tiles. And the way that we're gonna do that is by leaving some space and painting white behind them. Once you have a section in here and you're feeling good about it, you can glue these tiles down. Everyone should have a little container of glue inside their kit. It's labeled glue on the top. Mine isn't, but yours is. And you're gonna take the top off. And I'm gonna just really quickly show you. You have two options for gluing. There's two different ways you can do this. Option number one is taking your popsicle stick with a little glue, putting a dot onto your project and sticking your tile down. Option number two would be to pick up your tile, put some glue on the back, and stick your tile down. Either one is fine. Either way, whatever's comfortable for you. If you get glue on the outside of your tile, for example, if you put a big dot of glue when you press this down, if it squeezes out, it's honestly not that noticeable on this project because it's white, but any glue that oozes out from under your tile is going to dry totally clear. So you don't have to worry about that at all. That's just gonna be not an issue. Okay. So now that we have this purple section done, I'm gonna go ahead and glue in the purple section. And if you have your purple section done, you can do the same. Okay, our purple section looks good. We are going to put our purple tiles to the side for a moment. You may want to dip back into your purple. Sometimes when I'm moving up through the colors in this project, I decide that I want to add one or two more purple or whatever color you're working on up at the top of your design. So I wouldn't put these away for now. I would just sort of put them to the side just in case you need to grab one, you have it handy. So in our Roy G. Biv color rainbow, the next color, if we're working backwards, would be blue. So find your blue tiles. They may be mixed in a little bit. They might not. Mine are mixed in. So I'm gonna dig some out of here. In my kit today, I have big ones and I have small ones. You may have some of these, but not all of them. So just kind of pick through there and see what different kinds of blue tiles you got in your kit today. We're always getting different tiles in stock, so we try to pull from whatever we have and kind of give you the best assortment that we can. I'm calling these ones a little bit green, so I'm actually gonna slide these out for now and put them into my green bin, and I'm gonna call the rest of these guys blue. Okay, so now that I have my blue tiles pulled out and ready to go, I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before where I'm planning out where my tiles are gonna go before I actually glue them down. I would say that we wanna think about this 1/6 of our project talk again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. So we're talking about going across about here. Okay, so once you have an idea where your tiles are gonna go, we're gonna start to lay them in place. Okay, I feel good about my blue section, and I think I have it up as far as I need it to go. In your green tile kit, there are some tiles in here that are sort of halfway between blue and green, and I think that I'll probably use these to fill in a little more of my blue space and sort of trickle in my blue into my green a little bit. But I'm happy so far with what I have, so I'm going to glue the blue tiles that I currently have placed with my glue and my popsicle stick. Okay, our purple tiles are in, so are our blue tiles. At this time, I would say you're safe to put away any purple tiles that you have left. You may not have any tiles left over. I just grabbed a bunch of tiles, but what's in your kit is gonna be measured out pretty specifically for what you're gonna need. So you may have 2 or 3 extra, but you likely will not have this many extra. I think I'm also done with my blue tiles, so I'm gonna put them to the side as well. And same thing, you may not have any left over, you may have a couple left over, and depending on how far up you brought each color, you may have more or less. So we are going to work on the green section. We have green and teal. I think we were talking about that a little bit before, that in your green container, there's likely tiles that are sort of in the blue-green family and also tiles that are green-green. So I'm gonna flip all my tiles over so I can see exactly what I have. And I am going to separate them a little bit based on what I feel is green-green and what I feel like is blue-green. And that way, the blending of my rainbow looks even better. So I'm gonna call these 2 color, there's 3 colors that I'm gonna call green green. And it looks like there are about 3 colors that I'm gonna call blue green. Again, you may have some of these colors, you may have all of these colors, whatever you have in your kit, you can divide it and sort of get it organized in whatever way makes sense to you. We also have some circles. There's a couple. My kit has a couple of big circles. I've got some smaller ones. I'd call these more like a blue-green. And I would call these like a green-green. Okay, cool. So we're gonna do a couple of these blue-green tiles, and then I'm gonna transition into the green-green. We want to take, this color should take us to about the halfway point, which I would say is probably somewhere around the top of this peak of this piece side. By the time we get here, we probably want to be going for yellow. So we're going to fill in sort of this section here, and we're going to go a little bit up on the side. So just like all the other colors we've done so far, I'm going to lay my tiles out, make sure that I'm happy with the way they look, and I will then glue them in place. I'm liking the way my green looks. I'm not totally sure about this middle section here, but I'm gonna leave these out. And when I get to my yellow section, I may need to add one more green tile in here, but I'm satisfied with the way this looks otherwise, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue these in place. Green section is glued, and we are moving on to our yellow section. So I mentioned before, I'm not totally sure that I'm done with these green tiles, so I'm gonna let them hang out over here on the side for a minute while I look at my yellow tiles. So we're about halfway. We have 3 colors left, so a third, and a third. Yellow, orange, and red. The red has pink also. All right, so we've got those. I feel like I may fish out some of these circle tiles. These are kind of pinky yellow, but I think I'm just gonna go for it. Okay. So, I'm gonna start laying them out. I think I may need another green tile in here, but I'm gonna see if I can get away with putting just some yellows in there and see what I think. But you may see me grab a green tile and add it in there. So we're going for a third, so I would say maybe another 3, 3, and 3. And yeah, maybe just 2 on this side. Let's see how it looks. like this. I'm happy with my yellow section. I did go back and add a green tile in here. I tried to put a yellow one in there, but it just didn't feel good. So this extra tile went inside of here, and then we've just gone ahead and added the rest of these yellow tiles, which I am now going to glue into place. Yellow section's done. I'm definitely done with my green tiles, so I'm gonna go ahead and put those off to the side. I'm gonna hang on to my yellow tiles in case I wanna add any, and I'm gonna dump out my orange tiles. We may have to take this yellow section up a little bit. It looks like I may have not put quite enough. I may end up adding just 1 or 2 more just to extend that yellow section a little bit, so that I get closer to that 1/6 that we were talking about. Okay, we've got a lot of cute tiles. Okay. So I'm gonna lay out and then I'm gonna glue, same as we've been doing all along. I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm checking in. Are you doing okay? How's your project looking? Awesome, I'm glad you're loving it. All right, I'm creeping up into my red zone, and I'm pretty sure that I'm done with my orange. I'm gonna pack my orange and my yellow tiles because I know there's some really cool red tiles in my next bin. Before I start my red section, I'm just quickly gonna glue down these orange tiles. All right, we are just about to come up into the section for our last color, which is pink and red. Let's see what we have in our cup. Got a lot of cute things. Little hexagons. Got some pink here. Quite a bit of red. A little purpley pink. I'm into that. Okay, this one's a little funky. Put this one off to the side. I also have this triangle, a couple more pinks. Okay. Very cute. So for the last final time, we're gonna lay our tiles out and make sure we like the way they look, and then we're gonna glue them in place, and our project's gonna be done, and it's gonna be so beautiful. In a minute, I'm gonna go in and glue it, and then our project's gonna be totally complete. Before I leave you, I just wanted to let you know that we recommend leaving your project flat to dry for 24 hours before you hang it up or display it, so that the glue has enough time to completely set. If you have any extra tiles left, you can put them to the side for now, and go ahead and glue your last section. I hope everybody had a great time creating with us today and creating their own piece mosaic. We'll see everybody soon. Thank you. Here's our completed project. Thank you so much again for creating with us today.